think he had. I don't remember Jared with a beard.
Oh, okay.
But now this guy has a beard and glasses, and it's like it's hard to tell who I'm looking at.
It is super hard to identify who this person is.
Yeah, so sometimes it's hard.
I was hoping
to
it
tell.
said in like the video caption or something like that.
It just says G explains Champlain, however you say it, in a few words. Is the caption on the thing.
Oh, okay.
But basically he comes in for the weigh-in and he didn't have a good day. So he's talking about like how it went. And basically kind of this alludes to what I was talking about a little bit with some of the Southern guys that aren't ready to do some of the Northern fishing. He's got a joke right away about the spinning rods.
Yeah.
And how like he kept getting hung up and stuff. So it's like it causes some issues with these guys that are not familiar with what they're doing. But yeah, he had a rough day and he basically just was like hits him with the stand-up. We saw it when we were there firsthand where they just kind of say stuff and nobody had anything good to say. They're just like, yeah, rough day. Hopefully we'll get back out there and long drive home. Because I won't be making it to Champion Sunday, but I had fun. You guys have a great fishery here, and I can't wait to come back. Thank you. That kind of stuff.
Right. Yep.
And then
that summed up almost every speech.
And then G comes and hits him with this.
Caught him on a jig, a little balling out, 15 foot, and I'm wearing the hat, and I slacklined every bit of it. I said, boy, this ain't no spinning rod. Surprise, you little hooker. And then I just turned the rod straight at him, just did it like a third-grade pencil sharpener, just I'm like, yeah, we ain't playing now. I'm tired of spinning rods. If I ever fall out of an airplane, I want 3 spinning rods with drop shots tied on them because you will not make it to the ground. You'll be hung up somewhere. Them things wrap up in that boat when you run. Chris Angel couldn't. O.J. Simpson's lawyer can't figure out how to get the knots out when I got there. They're tied up everywhere. I'm like, I just ran 300 yards, and now I'm retying again with my bad eyes. And I sit out there thinking about Champlain. I think that's a French word, and it stands for like flat-bottom boats or something like that, because it's a rough place. And then I found out Woodstock wasn't too far from here, and I said, well, ain't that where they wrote the song Flat-Bottom Girls? Huh? That's the men bringing their wives out here fishing when it's windy. That's what happens to you. I promise you. I spent more time in the air than I spent in the seat out there. This place beats me down. I said, I should have went to Woodstock and got on that stuff they was in, just drifted around out here. But the more you think out here, the madder you get. Now I'm understanding why so many liquor stores between here and the campground. I'm just saying. You may have cracked the code.
It's so good. You can hear he's kind of workshopping it, but he's already had this going. Like he just workshops. Chris Angel. Nah, I'm gonna use the OJ part. That'll hit harder.
Yeah, just giving a couple of examples, but like there's so many jokes in that little bit of time too. And
they were rapid fire, just
rapid. Some of them, maybe a little. Some of it's a little bit corny, but you got to give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, for having that ready. I mean, that was like a minute, and I don't know. It's like it's a minute at the very least. It was a tight minute. He just had jokes.
Tight
like
bam,
minute,
bam, bam, bam,
bam.
Just bam, bam, bam. Did not give anybody any room to breathe. Just doosh, 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 doosh. Yeah, that one joke though is maybe like one of my favorite things I've ever heard about the spinning rods. Just if I ever fall out of an airplane, I want 3 spinning rods with me because you will not hit the ground. You're gonna get hung up somewhere.
I know. I loved that. So I don't even get all of it because he says something about slackline because I don't know what slackline. I know.
Oh, so
I've heard of it, right? But
yeah, so like I think what he's talking about with the drop shot is you have your hook. There's line to the hook, and then there's line from the hook down to the weight.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he's hooking it up on his rods or whatever, but you also have that hook, and how they set all their lines on their rod, and then you just like it's almost like a bungee cord that just kind of straps them down to the deck.
Oh,
so you have like 10 on one side, 10 on the other side.
Right.
And I'm sure he just hits, you're hitting those big ass waves. Bam, bam, and stuff's kind of wiggling and wobbling, and then you get there and like everything's hung up. I know what he's talking about. I put my rods down in like the corner of a boat, and I kind of like laying them on each other, and I don't drive that far, and you go to like grab it. You're just like, how the shit did this line get tangled around that? And it's like sometimes the line has done some of the weirdest shit.
It's like keys in your pocket. Sometimes you pull them out and you're like, how in the fuck did that happen?
Exactly. There have been more than one occasion where I just go, what are the fucking odds? It's like I don't have anything specific, but it's like something where the line went someplace so crazy in such a short amount of time. You just go, I couldn't have done this if I tried. It's insane. So I totally get what he's talking about, where you're bouncing around and he gets tied up and stuff. But yeah, the jokes. That's funny. And then he's just like, boy, it is rough out there. And it's just like, yeah, I get it now too when I'm looking at the lakes that you're used to fishing, where it's all these different branches. You have all this, even on a really windy day.
You can go in.
Even still, if you're not in, there's not the distance for the waves to pick up. It's not this giant open body of water where those waves are consistently getting bigger as they roll across the water.
Right.
And then you're dealing with just if you ever seen like the Lake of the Woods or Mille Lacs, those waves can get really, really big. And it's crazy for a freshwater body, or like for a fresh body of water, how big those are. And you're just
sometimes you can hear the motor leaving, like,
oh yeah,
you can tell when the motor leaves. And especially with these trollers, it's really funny to watch these pros that are mic'd up during the windy days, because you hear that trolling motor leave at every damn it, I want to say crest, but trough, every trough, you just hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I've been there before. I've done
I bet you have.
But my dad's boat sits higher in the water, so I have less to play with. They're in a bass boat where that trolling motor is already on the water. So you're talking about that motor is coming like a good 3.5 feet up out of the water. Like the front of the boat is that much higher out of the water to make that happen.
And then he makes it, and all on that, he makes that flat bottom girl reference. It's like so good, like that. I love jokes where you take a pop reference and you purposely fuck it up.
Yeah.
Just knowing that the audience is going to get it,
Right. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. It's just like, it's a flat. I think that's what they're talking about.
I think that's what that is.
The boat's going to be flat bottom because it's just been getting slapped, and then what else gets slapped? Oh, a butt. A flat bottom butt. You know what I'm talking about? It just
and you're like, that's a Queen song, right? Flat bottom girls.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not flat, but I get it. And you did it on purpose. I like it.
Yeah. And then he had a bad day, so he's basically just like, I'm thinking about going over to Woodstock and getting fucked up. You got a lot of liquor stores here. So what's on my mind right now is going over to Woodstock or going to the liquor store. But either way, I'm getting fucked up. I was planning on being here on Sunday, and I didn't make it to Sunday, but we'll see. I try to make it to Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
And his voice is good he's good on the mic. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. He delivered it very well when he just got up there. And I'm glad that the guy didn't, just say that this is the mic. And I'm glad he didn't just go, what do you think? I got hung up and all this stuff. It's just like, you got hung up. I'm glad that he just held the mic out there and just let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Like
the MC. Again, forget his name. I should have Googled him quick. Well, but he knew it. He knew what was going on. He just he just let him go. He's like, all right, I got this one.
Yep. He just gave him his minute.
Yep.
Do your jokes.
Yep. It was great. And to throw back quick, episode 27 was the only time we've actually had anybody on. No, that's not true. One of our few times that we've been joined by someone else. Episode 27, we did stand-up comedy with a stand-up comedian, Nathan Holtz. We grew up with him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Go check out that episode. This one, we're just diving in, picking apart, playing, having fun with stand-up comedy. As far as I'm concerned, Tim, what were you thinking? Because I got a bunch of shit written down. But
what was I?
Yeah, I mean, like, where did you? I mean, obviously, we can't sit here and talk about this stand-up session for 30 minutes or 45 minutes.
No,
or
we're
whatever.
done. That was the end.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm kind of making this transition here. It's just going, okay, did you have an idea where this is going? Because I wrote down a bunch of shit. And
no, if you got a plan, I didn't really have a plan. I was just more or less I was,
yeah, you just want to talk about stand-up. That's what I want to do.
We're both deep rooted in stand-up, like our whole lives. I grew up on stand-up early.
Yes.
Like I couldn't wait for it. I knew stand-up existed and I didn't get my hands on it for a while, but like all I wanted was stand-up. I just wanted it. And I got it early. I had the original Kings of Comedy on VHS.
Oh, dude, no way. The VHS.
The VHS, and I was
that's so sick, dude.
Walking around just saying wild shit, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's like, and there's, for what I view it as kind of like a compliment when you're imitating people and stuff.
Yeah.
Nowadays, for whatever reason,
the highest form of flattery or something like that, right?
Yeah. And nowadays, for whatever reason, some people like view it as being like racist when you talk like somebody else, but it's like, but that's how they talk.
Yeah.
I can't say their joke without talking like they talk.
Right. Yeah. And you're not even, and I know what you're getting at, because it's not even that you were won't, it doesn't matter, but like, it's not that it was necessarily a joke that had the N-word in it. It was people are giving you shit for talking like a Southern black guy while telling their joke, like full on doing a impersonation. But now you do that as a white guy on the internet. And that's what, I see what you're saying. But back in the day, in high school, we would tell the joke like the person told the joke, like a Cat Williams joke. You would say it like Cat.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I see what you're saying.
Be talking like Cat or talking, but like what I really got started out with was I liked all of the Kings of Comedy. Oh yeah. But hands down, my favorite was Bernie. So I just walk around. I'm like a 12-year-old kid just walking around like him downstairs,
right?
just saying shit where it's just like now people get uncomfortable or whatever, but it was like that's what it was.
Right.
Here I am, motherfuckers. He comes out, everybody just Bernie. Oh, I loved it. The whole thing, like
Bernie. I love Bernie too. Yeah, definitely.
The white people with the leash, and he goes to like, he would have the mic here, and he would pull the leash, and he would hit the mic with his elbow for like
the sound effect,
and he broke the mic.
Oh shit! I forget that part.
He broke the mic, and he's like trying to talk, and he's like, what the fuck? just
like, now I remember it. Now I remember awesome.
It. That whole set. I don't remember the whole thing. I
still do that one all the fucking time, especially now having a kid. I do that joke so fucking much. Hey, come here. Nope.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's just and he does the tugging motion and the zoom and runs through my head.
I say the shit
so
like
often.
I say the shit like he says to my son sometimes, but I don't explain myself at all. And he's just like, "Can I have a snack?" And I just be like, "Would you want some milk and cookies?"
Yeah, dude. Your son is like, "What the fuck is Dad doing?"
He just kind of giggles. Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I'll take milk and cookies, whatever."
Oh yeah, I guess milk and cookies sounds good, Dad. Why'd you say it like that? But to go back to the like stand up, I think is one of the things that really bonded, like me and you bonded over early, because for people who don't know, just the quick thing is, I moved into a town. It was already high school. I was meeting people, and I think me and Tim really clicked over. One of our things was stand up. I've stopped. put things on my Netflix and then waited until me and Tim could see them. I remember Anthony Jeselnik's.
Oh yeah.
I waited on that one until we hung out.
The Fire in the Maternity Ward?
Yeah, I think it was that one.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it was that one. There's been others. I think Hannibal Buress is on there, and then he had other ones on there too.
Hannibal Buress is weird one.
Yeah,
where he's like singing the whole time. Yeah, it's good though.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it. I don't mean weird in a bad way.
Oh,
I enjoy weird shit. I like when I can't see the punchline coming.
Yes.
If it's off the wall and it's just like awkward. Not necessarily awkward. Awkward might be the wrong term. Like some of that bad grandpa stuff. When it's real life and you're just fucking with people, some of that gets uncomfortable and it's funny, but it's
really funny. But sometimes
it's
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So
I'm with you.
The uncomfortableness I don't necessarily like all the time. That's just like the that Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll watch that show and I'll find myself just being like, oh,
I know, dude. I'm the same way. My wife and her mom, they love that show, and I'm just like, I feel awkward. I feel awkward watching this sometimes.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
I know. I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that, but sometimes when you're fucking with real people, like it does something to me that I don't necessarily like all the time.
Yeah, I'm with you. It does make me a little bit more to talk about that stuff. You got people like Steve-O who have kind of made a what they could call a stand-up transition. But he was never the person to like fuck with real people. He was always a stuntman, but to keep it in the jackass realm. Or Eric Andre, who basically just fucks with people, but also has stand-up.
Right.
I don't prefer Steve-O's stand-up over his stunts because he's a real clown and stuntman and like acrobat, I'll say.
Right.
But Eric Andre's stand-up I prefer over his comedy shows, like where he's fucking with people because he's fucking with people so hard.
Right. I know. Some of it is
it's
just
funny.
Like, it is.
It's funny.
Yeah. I have not seen his movie for that reason. Like it has to hit me one day where I'm just like in the mood for it because I don't want to subject myself to sitting down for an hour and a half of just like
I'll say this without spoiling anything. The Dick House team is behind that one.
Yeah.
And it very much feels like Bad Grandpa, just kind of redone.
Okay.
It's like Bad Grandpa through Andre's eyes.
Sure.
So it's a little more extreme in some ways, but you know how far Johnny goes with his stunts.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks he's an old man. So there's that too. Because Johnny takes a physical beating. And if you see shit like that happen to an old man. So just, take that for what it is. It's if you want to see Bad Grandpa again through different lens, it's sustained. You can sit through.
Well, then I'll have to. I do plan on checking it out anyways. I just haven't been like, this is the movie I want to watch.
Right, I got you.
You know, when I get a chance to actually sit down and watch a movie, that hasn't been the one that I've been like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, it will happen.
Oh yeah,
it just hasn't happened yet. But yeah, dude, back to stand up. There is some really good stuff coming out. I'm so happy that we're getting back to the place that we are.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, because people are getting out in front of people again and like building jokes?
Well, a little bit of that, but more so like the cancel culture was getting out of control for a little while.
Oh yeah. So it did feel like comedy was pulling punches for a little bit, right?
Yeah. But
because even Anthony Jeselnik's last, like if I remember it correctly, it didn't shock me as much as the other ones did.
Right.
And it's I'm the one that's why I go to you, Anthony. I want to hear you say some really crazy shit.
And some of it gets pulled because of like if it's on Netflix is telling you These are the jokes that need to. Yeah, Netflix tells you like we can't.
I thought
have these
Netflix
jokes
wasn't saying shit, and that's why everybody went there.
No, sometimes Netflix pulls some of that stuff, and like why am I brain farting on this name? I literally just listened to him on the latest episode of Steve-O's podcast. Mark Norman. Mark Norman has a stand-up special that's out now on Netflix, and his latest Netflix special, he's like, Netflix let me keep it all. I can't believe it, you know? And he's like, I got to keep the R word and the Jews and all this stuff. And he's like listing off all the different things that he touches on, and they let him keep it all. And that's the same thing with Shane Gillis's new stand-up, which is amazing. Like,
yeah, I got that one down as like, I got to check that one out because you already told me.
You check out the one that's free on YouTube if anybody wants to
watch that one.
The first one is fantastic. He's so damn good. I'm so impressed at how he's like, I find myself inadvertently like saying stuff that he says sometimes. Like it just gets brought into like my vocabulary now. You know? And just like his delivery is so good. And I love how he says some like wild shit, but the delivery is so well done that you can't even like falter. I don't know what it was that got him canceled in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know what it was either. Yeah.
Because he was, if anybody was, you know, wondering, he was going to be on Saturday Night Live. They hired him. He was supposed to be, and then he said something about Asians on his podcast.
Oh, and then I didn't even know that it was that. Like, I honestly just had forgotten because it was also it was years before he was even on SNL, right?
Right. It was like they dug into his background.
Right.
And then they found it. But it clearly wasn't a big deal. It was a joke, you know? It wasn't.
Yeah.
It, by today's standards, whatever he said was, you know, like not okay. But when he said it, it was like something that just happened, you know? Like,
yeah, like it's just a joke that you tell, right?
Dude, go back a little bit and like look at what was it? Home Improvement. Tim the Toolman Taylor. Fat jokes all the time. Constantly talking about fat bitches.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, that shit would not fly today. You
Married with Children.
For, you know, yeah, exactly. Yep. Stuff like that. Where it's not a big deal. But in hindsight, you're like, okay, that was insensitive, I guess, but nobody thought it at the time,
right?
Until somebody pointed out, you know, hey, that's not cool. So it's just like, whatever. It's no big deal. It's stupid shit. But also when it's a joke, I don't get offended by shit. So I don't ever understand when anybody's talking about that stuff. And the other side is just funny too, because sometimes you know, you hear all these different arguments on the internet and people just arguing about shit, and they're just, you know, well, you're white, what would you know about it? And just like, I don't know. I guess I don't understand the hardships that you went through, but also if anybody makes fun of me, I don't give a shit. I don't.
Right.
I'm an adopted fat redhead. There's plenty of jokes. There's been plenty of jokes that have been made about me, and I don't give a shit. I've never been just, you know, what the fuck?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't know.
You take jokes at their, like, you take jokes for what they are, but jokes are supposed to be provocative and thought provoking and make people feel uncomfortable in a way, but make you laugh at like the harsh reality of something, right? Because you just keep doing the thing, and then a comedian points it out and goes, Can't make that shit up. That's just how it is. Like that's a punchline, but it's real.
Yeah.
And you can't have a fucking laugh at it.
Right. I mean, if it's a joke, if it's a good joke, I shouldn't say that I won't get offended by anything, but because, if somebody was just like, I want to fuck your kid, just be like, I'm offended.
Right. Because that's not a joke. Not a good
That's
joke.
not a joke. That's just you saying some really messed up shit.
Right.
And I think now you're dead. I think.
I don't know what happened. I blacked out.
Yeah.
Self-defense.
Did I do that? Oracle shit. Wouldn't that be weird? It just black out and kill somebody and then come to, and then you just like, did I do that?
Now that's a good joke.
It's just weird shit. But no, Daniel Tosh has a bit about it. He's like, he says, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's somewhere along the lines of like, just know that if you've said any form of this, I get offended at blank. Mm-hmm. Or you can't say blank. And he's like, know that if you've said any form of that I hate you to your core. and then he's just like, you can't say, you can't make a joke about this. And he's like, yes, you can. If it's funny, yes.
If it's funny, yes.
Yeah. And it's like, exactly. If it's a good joke, great. I listen to Kill Tony. Kill Tony is a live stand-up podcast where the host, Tony Hinchcliffe, has bucket pulls where he draws people's names out. They have regulars throughout the set too that come on and do a minute, and they have a guest on the little dais, so it's always like him and another stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not always a stand-up comedian. Sometimes it's like people that Joe Rogan like pulled with, because he had somebody on his show. Like one of the episodes, Joe Rogan had Post Malone on his episode with Rogan, and then Rogan brought Post Malone
to the show.
So it's like Post Malone. Yeah, so it's Post Malone and Joe Rogan, and I think there was another comedian there too, and then it's also Tony Hinchcliffe, and then they pull out a name from the bucket, and it's just random, and they get a minute and they go up there and they do comedy, and they try to. Sometimes people are not prepared, sometimes they're absolutely insane, sometimes they're really good and they're trying to get their minute in the light to be like, and sometimes really awesome shit happens. Sometimes somebody kills so hard that they're just like, that was amazing, like you did so good, have you ever done this, have you done that? Sometimes they'll be like, have you done stand-up in front of your hometown? Like you said you moved here to Austin, and they're just like, no. And the guy, like the stand-up comics that's up there, just goes, I tell you what, I actually have a show in a month in your hometown. I'm going to fly you out there and put you in a hotel. You want to open for me? You want to do 5 minutes at the beginning of my show?
Whoa.
And people are like, yes, thank you. It's that kind of shit. And they hook them up.
That's cool.
Yeah, super cool. And so it's shit like that happens all the time. But I was making this whole point to say that sometimes there's minutes, like I just heard one where a guy came up and he was just like, oh yeah, sometimes I try to return the games to GameStop, but they won't take them. And maybe it's because the games I'm trying to return are child, like Asian anime porn or whatever he says. And then he's like, and maybe it's because the GameStop's not a GameStop, but like a daycare. You're just like, what? That's not even a joke. It's like all made up bullshit. What are you even talking about? That was the dumbest shit I've ever heard. So it's like that kind of stuff where like, I'm not offended at your stupid premise, but I'm just mad that you were given this opportunity and you go up there and you're just like, and you just say the stupidest shit. So
yeah, I get what you're saying. I totally got you, because all of that is to say like their there are different levels of comedy, like there are different levels of any art form.
Yeah.
And it's comedy. There is a trick to getting the majority of the room to laugh. That's not a trick, a skill. There's a skill to getting the majority of a room to laugh. The majority of the room laughs with 300 people in it, with 5 people in it, maybe not 5, but 50.
Right.
You can probably scale that up until jokes don't land anymore because like the sound isn't as fast as the like it takes you're selling out fucking this, oh god, what is it? The Knicks Stadium. Come on now. Where did the Knicks play? The Garden. So
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I was trying to think of it, and I'm glad you said the Garden because I was like, my brain was going to the wrong spot. I was like,
so I've heard that the Garden's so big that it's hard to do comedy in. Obviously, you just keep rolling. Like if you're big enough to sell at the Garden, you just do your set and pause for the people who are immediately. But I've heard that the laughter will come back to you by the time you're starting your next joke if you have a fast set.
Oh yes, I've heard that too. Like it's completely different when you're doing a big area because of that. Yeah, you have to wait for the laugh to come back. It's like weird.
Right.
The timing's all off. So they actually have different sets for different arenas and stuff. But
right.
You know, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, no shit,
it's
right?
Like, my venue that I'm doing is so giant, I have to change my
I have to change the pacing in my set. But that's exactly where I'm going with all of this is there's different forms and shit like that. And just don't fucking listen to it then. Don't laugh at it if you don't find it funny. Like you just gave an example of a shitty joke.
Yeah.
Don't laugh at it. It's not a joke. That's not a comedian. That's not funny.
No,
and then
no petty
there's
laughs.
A well-placed 9/11 joke in Anthony Jeselnik's,
right.
And you can't help but laugh like, oh fuck, I can't believe you already said that it's only September 12th, right?
Right.
And I'm using obviously an extreme example. I've never heard that from Anthony Jeselnik, but you get, I shouldn't have thrown his name in there, but I was using him as a shock comic, right?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, which he is,
Yeah. I mean, he admits it, right? Like I believe that's his Twitter profile and all that shit. So
that's what he's going for.
Yeah, exactly. He's supposed to offend you, to make you think, to make you, look at things differently, to catch you off guard, make you uncomfortable, and then laugh it off almost, right? And then you have people like Chappelle, Chris Rock. They will, I have to name 2 of the greatest comedians of all time, if not the 2 greatest comedians of all time.
Right.
But there will be speeches in there too. They'll have like downtime.
Yeah.
From where it's not just joke and joke and joke and joke, or they have these really long, what ends up being a speech, which is an incredible build up to a punchline,
Yeah.
There's stuff like that where you may not find the speech entertaining and fun or whatever if you're not a fan of Chris Rock already.
Right.
Or you may not like going to a comedy show and feeling like you're being preached to or whatever. But don't preach back at the comedian. That's not how it works. Like if you go to a fucking speech, if you go to listen to somebody speaking, it's not a debate. Right.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be a debate. Exactly. Yes, that's the point. That's exactly. And so it's no different with comedians because they're supposed to be doing this. They're supposed to be making you think in a different way. The court gesture, was the only person back in the day that could make fun of the king.
Yeah.
You got to think of things like that when it comes down to it.
And when you're dealing with a comic, you just have to stay the course. Have faith, that this joke is going somewhere.
Right.
Don't get offended the moment they start talking because they said something you don't agree with.
Right.
Hold on and wait. See what happens at the end.
Right. Because you don't know.
You don't have to like.
You don't know the set.
Right.
Hopefully,
you don't have to like every joke. You don't have to like every comedian. I don't know why some people are just like, he's not funny. To you, move the fuck on. Go to
yeah. Exactly. Some art isn't for like Jackson Pollock. Yeah, you can like him. I'm not someone who's into splatter art. Like, just not my thing. Not for me.
Yeah.
Respect the shit out of the guy and his work and what it's become. But
yeah, we have one. I mean, if just on comics, the Hot Pocket guy.
That's right, Jim Gaffigan. I like Jim. Yeah, I've listened to his book. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Yep. Hot Pockets. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not a big fan. You know, it's just. But it's nothing against him. No. I like when he's on Rogan. I actually like listening to the guy talk. I'm sure his book would probably be pretty good. I just, for as far as his stand-up goes, his jokes aren't bad. They're just not my cup of tea.
Sure.
And that's just how it goes. Like people have differences and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And it's just, I'm not trying to shit on them. I'm not trying to be like, here's what I don't like. You know, right. I'll do that in public. I'll tell you, I've done it before where I'm just like, I don't get this. I don't get, but like, that's just what it is. Everybody's got their own sense of humor. They're different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's, Rogan has a bit like that in his stand-up where he's like, you don't have to like everything. People are pretty goddamn different. He's like, I don't get yellow sports cars. It's like, I get that you get it, but I don't get it. You know? And it's like, yeah, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah, dude.
and people like different stuff. I did want to say, because you mentioned Chris Rock, I was thinking about this beforehand. My first 2 CDs I ever had were Snoop Dogg's The Dog Pound and Blackstreet's No Diggity. I think that, or was it just called Blackstreet? Maybe it was like a self-titled album, Blackstreet's Blackstreet or whatever.
Yeah.
Those 2 albums were bought by my parents and they didn't know what they bought me. I don't think
no,
they knew
didn't.
what parental guidance was because Blackstreet wasn't, like parental guidance, but there are like, it's R&B. So
it gets graphic
about fucking.
Yeah.
And Snoop Dogg is just like crazy.
Yeah. That record is nuts, dude. That record is nuts. If you listen to it.
Right.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, and I remember like playing it loud. I remember just like, hey Snoop, they say your beat's gonna be dedicated straight and sit the speeds out, man. He says something like that. And I'm like, maybe I should listen back to it now, but I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that other guy goes. And then Snoop goes, beats, delicates. So that's what make the fuck, or he goes, so that's what the fuck make me now? And he goes, N-word, I don't give a fuck about no beat. And I just go, damn, that's like one of the first things you hear on that album. And I was like, what did they get me? This is awesome. And I'm just like, whenever they were out of the house, I'm just like pumping that shit.
Fuck like, yeah, dude. Yep.
But the first CD I ever bought with my own money was Chris Rock's Bigger and Blacker.
Was it, dude?
Yeah, the first CD I ever bought with my own money was Stand-Up. And I didn't even know who he was.
So good. Oh,
I
really?
just knew that he was a stand-up and I knew people was saying, like, talking about him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I need this. Like, I needed to have stand-up in my life. And I was just like, I'm buying whatever.
Yeah.
And at the time, he was the biggest name. And I'm like, yes, if everybody loves him, I need to hear his stand-up.
Right.
And I've been like that ever since. Like, I got to hear everybody's stand-up.
Yeah.
And I've tried to hear most people. There's a couple of people where I'm just like, no interest. I know straight off the gate, like what you're about, like political comics. Nah.
Right. Yep.
I don't care about that.
Yep.
Except for I do like Lewis Black, but that's still like not even that political, you know?
Yeah.
But
he has a different angle that he's doing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff I like. But yeah, dude, it's been a ride. I've loved stand-up my whole life, and I definitely have like stuff that rattles around in my brain. I know we touched on it when we were talking with Nathan too, where it's just like, yeah, I've thought about doing stand-up before, but one of the things is like all of them talk about how you got to be doing it like 10 years.
Yeah. That's the old saying is like everything in order to get good at it, you have to do it 10 years before you can get anywhere.
So I really feel like it would be a blast and stuff, but it's like stand-up is done at night. Stand-up is done on the weekends.
Yep.
And I like to fish. So it's like, how do you those two hobbies don't just really overlap each other.
Right. For sure.
But I do jot down ideas all the time.
Yeah.
And notes and stuff. Like I have I've never tried to put it together into like a minute, but I bet if I sat down and actually like tried to put it together, I probably got a strong 5 minutes.
Shit.
But
that's awesome.
Would
you watch us live? Internet, leave comments. Would you watch like Tim live and then hang out with us afterwards?
Do you want this isn't I mean,
I don't know how you get feedback on it, but you know, we kind of did it over COVID.
This is kind of stand up. These are like just I have a lot of random thoughts I drive around thinking all the time, right? So some of this stuff isn't necessarily stand up. I just have random thoughts.
Already on a good start. This is how you should start that.
But the other day I was like, so if you do prostitutes accept crypto? and if they do
already,
and if they do you call it a doge blowge? It's like,
yeah, you do. The answer is yes.
yes to both. All right. Yeah. Because I just, that was a thought that popped in. And then I also thought I got a lot of these, so I'm not going to give all of them like right now. Cause I'm not this isn't becoming a stand-up spot.
No, we got to wrap up quick soon.
We live in Minnesota and we do have homeless people here. Why the fuck don't homeless people have dope ass snow forts? I've seen people, they have like on Instagram and stuff where they have like bars that they've made on a lake and they've made like an igloo and they have drinks and there's a fireplace and you have like a bed that you have inside this thing and you have it to live. And from my experience, the two things that you need to make a dope snow fort is time and snow. Both things that a homeless person in Minnesota has unlimited amounts of. What's going on?
Step up your game.
I don't think I've ever seen one with a snow fort.
Right. So to quick, bigger and blacker, I must have borrowed your CD or burned your CD or something, man. I listened to that CD over and over. It was one of the first DVDs that I ended up buying, I believe. Right. Because PS2 ended up with a DVD player in it. I think it was one of the first two DVDs that I bought. And one of the first few DVDs that I bought. But I remember listening to that CD over and over and fucking over, dude. Because that was the only place you could get No Sex in the Champagne Room or a single back then.
Right.
Because it wasn't on the No Sex in the Champagne Room wasn't part of the set, of course.
Yeah.
So I don't even remember if it's on the DVD or not. But in the CD, it just, it flows through and No Sex is just there.
Yep. There is no sex in the Champagne Room.
Oh, and the boxing, it seems to have dislocated his eye. Like there's skits on there. I forgot about that.
Dude, I gotta say too, my exposure to Chris Rock was earlier than I had realized.
Me too. You first.
So when we were younger, Space Jam, he was Lil Penny.
Yep.
And that had he was the Basketball Jones guy, and I didn't know it when I was younger.
Me neither.
Like hit me later in life.
Right. Same.
But Right. I didn't know who he was when I bought the CD. I did not put 2 and 2 together at that time.
Right.
But yeah, when I bought that.
I had no idea either.
Basketball Jones.
Yep.
I got a Basketball Jones.
Yep. CB4. I didn't realize like that was Chris Rock.
Oh yeah, CB4, the movie. Yeah.
The movie. Yep. So I had seen that because we had HBO and shit when I was a kid. And so I had seen parts of that as a kid, and I didn't realize that was Chris Rock. You know.
Yeah.
Like, then that was like his first movie.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Lil Penny also didn't know that was him until later in life.
Yep. Mike Tyson throws the ball against the wall and makes it fall.
Oh shit, Lil Penny got flow. Like that's what.
It's just like he's not even trying to like mask it. It's just Chris Rock.
Right. I know. But you didn't know that as a kid.
And then he sings it to start off. I got a Basketball Jones. He sings it. He's like, I can't sing. He's like, somebody get in vogue in here. Then they come in here. I got a Basketball Jones. Yeah, dude. You know what? This is a little bit random, but because we are coming up on October, and maybe it'll be time to talk about some horror movies again. I don't know. We haven't chatted on what's coming up.
Right.
But Chris Rock does have a serious role in a movie called Saw. Or no, is it Jigsaw? He is a detective in a movie that is in like the same world as the Saw movies. Like he's going after him or something. I have not seen that one yet.
Okay.
And I meant to. I think I started watching it, and I was just like, "We're watching this," and my wife was like, "I don't really want to tonight." And I'm like, "Fuck." So then I haven't watched that, but yeah, I think it's called Jigsaw.
Jigsaw, yeah, is part of it, and because Jigsaw's the killer. But anyways, let's not keep going. We're gonna have to just do this again because I had Kevin Hart on here as a whole entire topic at one point. And I was like, cool, this is gonna be the chance to talk about Kevin Hart. It was not. We're gonna have to come back to it. Also, we gotta come and talk about the shit that we've seen live, because I think you've been to some smaller stuff live that I haven't been to live. I've been to some shit downtown that you haven't been to.
Yeah,
there's so much more, but we got to cut it off, dude. Again, just like with the lakes topic, we're getting long.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, please go over to YouTube, youtube.com/@realaftv. Remember, real like fish and reel. Help us out. I missed one fucking day in like this every other Monday launch, and all of a sudden it's like the algorithm thinks we're not around anymore. I don't really know what happened, but we were on this upward trend. Now we're on this way down. I don't get it. Is it because it's not fishing season anymore? I don't think so. Either way, if you're listening to this on podcast stuff, go over to YouTube, give us a subscribe and shit, and help us out a little bit. Dude, just give us a like. Just give it a like. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you can train the algorithm. I'm sure you already have. It's training you. Anyways, Tim, what else?
Yeah. I think that's about it that we have for the podcast. You know, all the promos and whatnot, but
yeah,
definitely come back for the next one because we got more to talk about. We've seen some names.
Doubt about
it's not like we're gonna talk about some little no-name nothings. We've been to some shows.
We've been to some shows for sure, and we didn't even touch on the Adam Sandler.